Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the most inspiring and life-changing stories from history. Today, you are about to hear a story that is not just about success. It is a story about struggle, pain, hunger, determination, and the unstoppable power of never giving up. This is the story of a young boy who had nothing, no money, no comfortable home, not even enough food to eat. A boy who lost everything at a young age, who had no one to guide him, and who faced loneliness, hunger, and endless hardship. But that boy refused to accept his fate. He refused to give up. He walked for 2 years, covering nearly 470 kilometers, with no money, no food, and no shelter. He faced storms, exhaustion, and starvation. Yet he never stopped. That boy later became the founder of one of the most powerful luxury brands in the world, Louis Vuitton. How did a homeless, hungry child build a billion-dollar empire? How did he turn pain into power and struggle into success? Every part of this story is true. Every hardship, every failure, and every victory. Watch closely to understand the journey from nothing to ultimate luxury. This story is not only inspiring, it is also a powerful way to improve your English through storytelling, rich vocabulary, and real-life lessons. Now, let us begin from the very start. In the year 1821, in a small village called Anchay in France, a baby boy was born into a poor family. His name was Louis Vuitton. Life did not welcome him with comfort or privilege. From the moment he opened his eyes, hardships surrounded him. His father, Xavier Vuitton, was a carpenter who built small wooden furniture and structures, working long hours for very little money. His mother, Corinne Gaillard, was a hat maker who spent her days sewing hats for local women. Both parents worked tirelessly, yet their income was barely enough to survive. Louis grew up in a tiny wooden house with a leaking roof, cold floors, and no warmth. Winters were brutal. Snow covered the village for months, and icy winds made daily life unbearable. There was no heating, no soft bedding, and no sense of comfort. Survival was the only goal. From a very young age, Louis learned that life was not fair. He did not own toys like rich children. He did not attend school regularly. Instead, he helped his father in carpentry, lifting heavy planks, hammering nails, and cleaning sawdust. His hands became rough, his clothes worn, and his stomach often empty. Yet Louis was different from other children. Even though he was poor, he had something rare, a dream. Every day, travelers passed through the village wearing fine clothes and carrying large wooden trunks. Louis watched them with curiosity. Where were they going? Who made those trunks? What did the world beyond his village look like? Though he had never left home, his heart longed for something more. Tragedy struck when Louis was only 10 years old. His mother fell seriously ill. There were no doctors or hospitals nearby. Day by day, her condition worsened until one morning she passed away. Louis stood silently by her grave, unable to cry. His father, shattered by grief, grew distant and cold. He no longer had the strength to care for his son. For the first time, Louis felt completely alone. In that pain, he made a decision that would define his life. He would not stay poor. He would not remain trapped. He would leave his village and chase his dream. At just 13 years old, with no money, no food, and no plan, Louis decided to walk to Paris, a city nearly 470 kilometers away. One night, he packed a small bag and left quietly before sunrise. He did not say goodbye. He simply walked. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. He slept under trees, worked on farms in exchange for food, crossed forests and rivers, and endured hunger, and exhaustion. Rain soaked him, winter burned his skin, but he never turned back. After 2 long years, Louis finally reached Paris. But the city was not kind. It was crowded, dirty, and unforgiving. The smell of bread and coffee filled the air, teasing his hunger. He slept in abandoned carts, searched for work, and was rejected again and again. He ate scraps from the ground and grew weaker each day. Still, he refused to give up. One evening, Louis saw a man struggling to carry a heavy wooden trunk into a workshop. Without hesitation, Louis helped him. The workshop belonged to Monsieur Maréchal, a respected trunk maker. Impressed by Louis's strength and determination, Maréchal offered him unpaid work. Louis accepted without hesitation. He swept floors, cleaned tools, and watched closely. At night, he practiced secretly. One day, Maréchal noticed his work and decided to train him. Years passed. Louis became a master craftsman. By age 20, wealthy customers requested trunks made specifically by him. Then came the moment that changed everything. Empress Eugénie, wife of Napoleon III, entered the workshop. She wanted something new, lighter, elegant, and practical. Louis proposed a revolutionary idea: a flat-top trunk made of waterproof canvas instead of leather. She agreed. Louis worked day and night. When the trunk was presented, it stunned everyone. The Empress declared it extraordinary and appointed Louis her personal trunk maker. Orders flooded in. Louis soon opened his own workshop under his name Louis Vuitton. Despite wars, economic collapse, and hardship, his brand survived and grew. After his death, his son Georges Vuitton expanded the brand, introduced the famous LV monogram, and fought counterfeits. Later generations modernized the company, expanded globally, and eventually formed LVMH, the world's largest luxury group. Under Bernard Arnault, Louis Vuitton became the most powerful luxury brand on earth, valued at hundreds of billions of dollars. Today, Louis Vuitton represents craftsmanship, exclusivity, and prestige. But it all began with a hungry boy who refused to give up. This is not just a brand. It is a legacy built on courage, persistence, and vision. And it proves one timeless truth: no matter where you start, determination can change everything.